Hi everyone, my name is Brandon, and this is the age of the comeback. First off, again, for anybody that's tuning in today, that tuned in last week, I want to sincerely thank each and every single one of you for tuning in again. And for any of my new viewers, I especially want to say thank you so much for dedicating this time and your energy to spending it with me in my journey of transformation, emotional intelligence, leadership, self-love, self-worthiness, and the list goes on. How to take risks, that's a big one that I love. And just the list goes on and on and on. Thank you so much for being here with me and taking away very, very, very valuable information from real life stories that can or cannot help you, right? It's what you take from it, okay? Completely experiential, and if you want to take it, take it. However, just thank you so much for everything. Okay, with that being said, today's topic is empathy. Empathy. What is empathy? Well, I'd like to ask you that question. What does it mean to you? The inner questions that we ask ourselves is where we get to grow from. So on the topic of empathy, what I would ask myself, just as an example, is do I have empathy? Is it gifted or is it taken? Do I not have empathy? Am I born with empathy? Is it a skill set that I get to learn? What is empathy to me? And my question to you, viewers, is what is empathy to you? To me, empathy is such a powerful, powerful, powerful tool. I mean, you can open up any old dictionary and it'll give you the answer, right? The answer would be something along the lines of being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. A little bit more sophisticated than that. However, you get the gist of it, right? It is and it isn't. It is and it isn't within my experience, okay? And again, everybody's experience is totally subjective, okay? In my experience, what empathy means is being able to detach from the ego into the authentic self to relate with someone else by saying, this is not about me. This is not about me. This is not about me. And by saying this is not about me, again, detaching from what the story the ego has made up about the situation and tapping into the authentic self in order to relate with somebody else's authentic self. From there, it's a superpower in order to observe somebody's authentic body language. Because I don't know about you guys, however, when I come across people, what a lot of people's words don't match their body language. Their body language says something totally different than what the words that are coming out of their mouths say. And that's where you get to tap into that field, that quantum field where the ability to relate just by saying, this is not about me. This is not about me. Now that by itself is a huge step in growth right there. Admitting this is not about me. Most of the world thinks that it is about them when it was not about them to begin with. Again, we are all experiencing the same world, the same collective conscious. However, everybody's viewpoint is different on the same object. For example, so we're experiencing the same collective conscious subjectively. And just to go into a little bit deeper than that, say that there's a bee flying around here. You know, bzzz. Most people would be scared of the bee and not want to be stung. And then there's the few that'll say, wow, what a beautiful bee. Thank you for spreading pollen across all of our plants of the earth in order for them to grow and bud new seeds. Two different consciousnesses looking at the same object, or looking at the same conscious behind this object. You see? So the subconscious, the subjective conscious is what's called the ego. And let me talk to you guys a little bit about that because I go deep with a lot of ego talk. Okay, so let me get this out there. The ego, first off, just like what empathy is, I'd like to ask you guys, what do you guys think ego is? Okay? Ask the inner questions. What is ego? What is ego doing to my life? Why am I the way that I am? Who am I? Why am I holding myself back? What's happening? Where does a sense of pride, and for men, where does this testosterone come from for nothing? Ego. And ego is the picture that we painted about ourselves from all of our experiences from childhood all the way up to our present age, whatever that may be for you. That's the ego. That's not who you are. That's who you've become. Who you are is an authentic individual, and that authenticity, it's a whole different vibration, and I'll get into vibrations in further podcasts and videos, okay? That's another rabbit hole. Okay. So now, getting back on topic is empathy. Empathy is subjective to everybody. It could be defined a million different ways. It just depends the experiences that the individual have grown up with, and if they've been shown empathy or if they haven't been shown empathy. That greatly defines what that means. Now, in my experience, empathy, again, is the ability to separate from the ego into the authentic self, by using this very, very key, valuable tool by saying internally and externally, if you want to, this is not about me. It's not about me. It's not about me. Story time. So as I told you guys a story last week about the floor being filthy and I snapped. Ego revived itself and it was bad. However, we healed from that situation. We're all good from that. Now the big thing that happened this week, actually, from last week to this week, is that the mess on the floor didn't change. And that's because I have a 9-month-old daughter, Sienna, that tosses food across the kitchen, right? Right? She tosses food across the kitchen, and I don't even know how she has that much strength to fling bananas across bananas or cereals or whatever across the kitchen. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. Anyways, she does that. It's cool. And what ends up happening is that I look at the floor, and instead of snapping again, I say, first off, I take a step back, and I say, this isn't about me. This is not about me. I separate myself from the ego, the story that the ego made up about the situation, about why the hell is the floor not clean. Nobody cares about me, and nobody wants to support me when I work 50, 60 hours a week. Nobody wants to blah, 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 blah. And I shift out of the ego into my authentic self. And my authentic self realized how hard Cynthia, my future wife, is working to become the person of her dreams, the leader that she was born and put on this earth to be, for not only this household, for her kids, for me, for her future students, for the Live For You community, for the community, just for everyone. And she's been kicking ass, and she's been studying 12 to 14 hours a day. She's been reading so many books. She's been doing the work, a lot of inner work. A lot of inner work. So now, once I realize this, I take action. So instead of going into the victim, that my ego wants me to be in the victim, I go into being responsible. And responsibility is where action happens. When you become responsible, you remain in the present, and that's where action happens. So I just cleaned it up. I cleaned it up. So easy. Without making a big old fuss about it. Without complaining. She's my daughter too, guys. Come on. Why am I not cleaning up after her either? Come on. Crazy. And that's a realization that'll happen once you step out of the ego. Is that these have been my responsibilities from the get-go, and I haven't been living up to those responsibilities. So I clean up the mess, and me and Cynthia have just been fantastic. Our relationship has grown exponentially more because she feels safe, she feels supported, she feels loved, while she's working so hard. Okay? And that's not to take away anything from me. I'm working crazy hard too. However, I understand the process that she's going through because I've been through it. And anything that I can do to take the load off of her, I'll do in a heartbeat. And that's what empathy does. It connects the authenticity in between two individuals by setting the ego aside. How about that? Crazy, crazy, wild. So that is my story. Now, just to recap on the lesson learned here is that empathy is the ability to separate the ego, or separate from the ego into the authentic self in order to relate to another individual's authentic self, and to make that connection in order for them to feel heard, in order for them to feel safe, in order for them to feel loved, in order for them to feel that their voice matters, in order for them to vent, just by using this key tool. This is not about me. This is not about me. This is not about me. Whew. Wow. Powerful. Powerful. Now, thank every single one of you for tuning in to my YouTube channel, to my podcast, tuning in with your ears and tuning in with your eyes. Thank you guys so much. Follow me on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram coming soon, TikTok coming soon. I don't know all of those social medias. More of those coming soon. I'll put them all up. You already know me. I'm learning as I go as well. However, this is the age of the comeback. Thank you, everyone, and see you next time.